Gang. I've been waiting about 15 years to do this podcast because I wasn't sure what to do with these tapes. My name is Pete Contino. My father was Dick Contino. World-renowned accordionist. So, this podcast, Accordion Brat, that's me. I consider myself an accordion brat because I was on the road with my dad when I was like, I don't know. It just came to me. I just used that name. So, This podcast is my father talking. I'm going to play a few episodes. We started off, I moved back in town from LA, back to Vegas. My father went back to his house, and we'd meet every morning, man. We'd go get some coffee, and I'd meet him at the Starbucks on the corner. So he would go on these 4-mile walks every day. And one time he came in, and I said, hey, Dad, if I bought a little handheld tape recorder, would you just talking to it? I'm going to get some blank tapes just on your walk, whatever you feel inspired to say. It doesn't have to be chronological, just whatever. And he agreed. So I thought maybe he'd do a couple tapes, maybe just a couple ramblings. Within like 3 or 4 days, he had a bag full of tapes that he filled up with his stories. Everything from childhood to Horace Heidt days, talent show, his beef with the Army and all that. So I kept it in a safety deposit box for about, like almost 10 years. I don't know why. I just wanted it documented, and I just put it away. Well, we were in North Dakota doing a gig, and Corky Brumble actually goes by. My dad's close friend, he's like an uncle to me, and keyboardist. He wanted to do a book, so they asked me if I had the tapes, and I said, yeah. I pulled them out of a safety deposit box. Corky transcribed it, put it in book form, sold a few copies. But for me, there's nothing like just to hear my father talk. Even growing up as a boy, he would tell me stories, and I would listen to him. Man, they'd be the same stories, but I didn't give a shit. I just loved hearing him talk about these days, man, back when he first started. And so this is for fans of my father. I'm not sure if you stumble onto this podcast. If you're not familiar with Dick Contino, go to YouTube, check it out, pull up anything. You just see a ton of videos that people have uploaded, and it's fantastic. Again, what he did at that time, and it's pretty cool. He found his niche and just man did his thing. So anyway, so I got the tapes. And I just I didn't edit them. The quality isn't great. He's walking on the streets of Las Vegas, but you hear his words, man, and you hear him say, tell his story. This first episode, I'm taking it right from when he gets on the Horace Heidt show. He's about 18 years old, just got out of high school. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you at the end of this.
Anyway, back to the music, the accordion, the phobias. Oh boy. Had my own little world right around me. Got mom and dad, got family. Honestly, if I go anywhere, I go with somebody, Play the accordion. Intensified so much that I guess for what I was doing, I had the passion and what I just... Big Leonia tries to say, look, when you're standing up, make sure you point your toes straight, don't open kind of I was sort of original with that. I couldn't understand that. I had to exude emotion, with my whole body. causing even women for years later to say, you play that accordion like you're making love. That accordion, you know. Well, maybe, you know, I was wishing it was a girl. I don't know, I just played with passion. It seemed to work. But the folks were all set to move to Los Angeles. And my dad, you know, by this time we had moved to 1845 Harrison. And so we had plans to leave, like on this Monday. That Friday before that, I was 17 years old now. I was about in the month of, who knows, you know, maybe the fall of 1947. My mom says, well, we're going to leave Monday. You better go to the union and get your transfer. I was the youngest member of the Musicians Union, Fresno there. So she said it like that afternoon, and I didn't go. I went bowling with this guy, John Grado, who later became my brother-in-law, and his brother, Frank. I figured, you know, get the transfer anytime. Talk about timing. Now I firmly believe in something that works like that. So we went bowling, and so I got back, and my mom and my dad were over at my Uncle Joe's, my dad's brother. Him and his wife, Augustina, Augie, my Aunt Augie. I got to that night, and she says, well, did you go get your transfer? And I says, no, go get it right now. She said, well, Mom, it's night. It's like 7 o'clock. I said, go right now. We're leaving Monday. So Johnny came with me, and I went down there, and it was like upstairs, like downtown Fresno, you know, older building naturally. And I went to see, so the secretary of the union, Henry Betcher. Oh, so you're going to Los Angeles? Well, yeah, you know, we were talking. And about this time, a guy named Alan Bode, B-O-D-E, Irish, typical looking Irishman. He come up the stairs. And so I guess Henry knew, of course I knew him as Mr. Betcher, didn't call him Henry as a kid. Mr. Betcher says, I guess he knew they were auditioning for this new show, this radio show. It was before television. So he says, this Bode, I can still picture Bode walking up those stairs. And he says, hey, if you're looking for an accordion player, this is the kid you want to hear. So Bode, you know, he was, he's a great guy. He always looked like he had been drinking, you know, but very, like, you know, the way you say, there's an earthquake, Alan, he goes, oh, yeah, it's okay, you know. And he says, okay, kid, hold on, I'll take you, he says, how about coming in town? How about not coming, he knows even town. How about auditioning Monday? Can you come in? I says, no, Mr. Bode. I says, my folks we're planning on moving to Los Angeles, you know, Monday. So, you know, even when you try to walk away sometimes from something, if you're destined, I guess, I know, something still pulls you to it. I realize that's the principle today, but back then I didn't. I just thought, well, we can't make it, you know, I'm leaving. So he says, okay, he says, how long will it take you to get your accordion? I said, geez, maybe half hour. He says, okay, kid, go get your accordion and come on back to the Fresno B radio station. I'd like to hear you play. Great. So I got my buddy Johnny, who went to the house, and I didn't tell my folks anything. He just told them, okay, I called her up. I called up my mom. I says, yeah, I got my transfer, but Johnny and I are going to go. Maybe we'll go back to the bowling alley or something. I don't want to, you know, build up any high hopes for something. Okay, just don't be too late. So I cut myself shaving. Remember, wear a pair of like jeans, you know, with the white shirt open, and grab the accordion. prior to that time, any sense of performance was like with the dance band. My Uncle Pete Giordano, he was great. He's a natural saxophone and clarinet. He was great. Natural player. You know, he could read too, but a natural musician. So he took me like on my first job. You know, he'd take me on my first job, and you know, and then after that we go do different jobs. He'd go to pick me up. My dad was so proud. This is digressing back to, you know, prior to the Horace Heidt thing. And he and Ralph Manfredo on keyboard, Frank DeLuca on drums. Jeez. They always seem to want to pay, you know, let's bring Dickie along. They made $15, $20, whatever. So, but the point I'm making is that if I sat around trying to, I had all this, by this time, you know, I had the Cañazo principles working, so I would apply them to, like, I knew 3 songs, Lady of Spain, Bumble Boogie, and Tico Tico, as far as show songs were concerned. But I played, you know, There's a Small Hotel, you know, I played all these other songs, are the Honeysuckle Rose, you know, all the songs of that, you know, so we do it as a dance thing. But every time I did, my Uncle Pete and those guys would note that while I was playing, when I got to do a solo, you know, just do a takeoff, as we call it, on a chorus or two, people would stop dancing. And they just stand on the dance floor and watch me play. And so they would note that. My folks would note that. They just all assumed, boy, this guy's got something, I guess. They couldn't, you know. But, I mean, I wasn't playing like the Lady of Spain then or Bumble Boogie or... Anyway, the reason I mention that is because when I went back to see Bodie, I got the accordion and so I thought, well, I played the Lady of Spain. I thought, I'll play Lady of Spain, it's flashy. And but I thought the way I'd compete by playing, you know, because I played, my experience up to that point was mostly with the dance trio and stuff. That I would play, you know, like I do my heroes, my idols were like Charlie Magnanti out of New York, Ernie Felice out of San Jose, Art Van Dam, I think he was out of Chicago originally. So I'd imitate them, my idols. So I thought either way, but long story short, okay, now so Bodie, when he heard me play, and I don't know whether he was impressed mainly with Lady of Spain and Tico Tico and Bumble Boogie or the other thing, the medley, he says, kid, he says, you got to come back. He says, Height's got to hear you. I didn't know who Horace Heidt was, and certainly my mom and dad didn't know. So I thought, wow, all of a sudden I felt this inner enthusiasm, like maybe this is right, maybe this is something I'm supposed to do. So now I went back. So he was filling me in on all these possibilities, you know, national radio, the whole country will hear you play. They didn't even know what the format would be at that time. It was supposed to be a contest, I guess, out of Fresno is all I thought. That the whole country would hear me play the accordion. I wasn't even thinking about winning or losing. I just thought the country would hear me play the accordion. Went to my Uncle Joe's that night after, you know, and that's when I decided to tell the folks that, hey, I told them the whole story. And they want me to come back. And my dad said, come on, who the hell's Horace Heidt? He called him Horace Heidt. Horace Heidt. He said, who the hell's he? I said, I don't know, but it's a radio show. You know, Dad, blah, blah, blah. No. We're going to Los Angeles. Come on, we're going to move. You're going to make Harry Rogers mad. There was an agent I went to audition for at one point in my, you know, like during high school, right after high school, named Harry Rogers. And Harry had booked me at the Pike Theater in Long Beach with the Will Maston Trio, which consisted of Sammy Davis Jr., his father, and his uncle. Well, it was before Sammy, you know, we had both eyes before his accident. And he just tap danced, and maybe sang a little bit, I don't know, but I guess they're exciting. And you know, for years after that, Sammy kind of held that against me. And I'm not being paranoid. I don't care. I'm just saying it seemed that way because I did a benefit once with him in Reno, and he was quote a superstar. He boasted on how the next act he was going to introduce, he had to open for. Like, whoa, can you believe I haven't once had to open for this? And I thought, oh, well, fuck it, you know. Because that was exactly it. The theater manager says, you know, he thought I had this something, you know, and I guess. And so he wanted the Will Maston Trio to open, and I would close the show at the Pike Theater. Vaudeville was dead at that time. But we were taking a shot, and Harry, you know, he was pretty proud of that, having booked me there, and nobody knew about Will Maston Trio or Sammy Davis then. So neither was Dick Contino name. We were both acts. Then he was gonna book me with a violinist. And folks thought, wow, you know, at one point he had me audition at the Pantages Theater on the stage there in Hollywood for a couple of people. And I remember it was about the time of the Jolson story. It was coming out. It had come out, or it was coming out. I don't know. And the song, the anniversary song, about you know. So I'd play that, man, with all the soul and passion I could. And, this kid's got it. Well, like I say, the vaudeville seemed to be, there was no vaudeville, you know, sort of dead at the time, it seemed. And tried to get me, you know, with Universal, but then that didn't work. I was too young. So, I guess since the beginning of time, there's scam artists everywhere and shit. So there was, somehow they heard about this guy who was going to teach me showmanship, you know. And, but in those days, $500 was a lot of money. But he was, you know, he's from Hollywood and all that shit. So they brought me, and he was going to, okay, now when you get to this point, I want you to, this is interesting, you got to make a note of this. Now, you start out, when you walk out on stage, with your back to the audience and you're looking over your shoulder. You know, and the song I was going to play was St. Louis Blues. St. Louis, brother, you know. You're looking over your shoulder, and then you turn gradually. And then you get to this point. That's it, right there. Oh, fuck. Anyway, shit. So now they booked me. See, they said, okay, somebody got me engagement at this club on La Cienega. Was it La Cienega? Yeah, in like the Jewish area there. And this guy, Leo Diamond, I think his name, he played harmonica, great harmonica player, you know. And so they got me. Well, anyway, I was going to follow this guy's way of playing the song. And my dad was my biggest fan, no matter what, you know. So the place is filled, because in those days, no matter who was appearing, the place was always packed. You know, so I come on stage, and I got my back to the audience, and I can hear them snickering. You know, so I get through the song somehow, and oh yeah, here, let us see, dip to the left, bow to the right, you know, and that's it, now lift the eyes slowly, you know, sort of squint a little bit, and that's okay, now, you know, whatever else, you know. Well, we went across the street after that first show, and we went to this drive-in, my dad and I. And I says, well, I just don't feel good, Dad. He says, what's the matter? I says, they were laughing at me. Oh, that's all right. Well, you know, you did do it. No matter what I did. I could have played, you know, O Marie in the wrong key, and he'd say, you're the greatest, you know. Not that he'd belittling his opinion. It's just that's the love and pride that he had, you know. And I guess he saw the natural, but so forth. So I says, you know, when I do the second show, Dad, if you don't mind, I says, can I do it without what this guy told me to do? You know? He says, sure. I said, but it costs you $500. Back then, honest to God, that was probably equivalent to about $2,000. You know what he said simply? Do it. What do I give it? What do I care? What the hell? It's only money. He says, go out there and do what you want to do. Well, just like in a nice, wonderful movie, I went out there, just played what I felt, looked at one, and I killed him. Well, he couldn't get over that. You know, and he didn't think about the $500 he had spent on this lame duck scam artist, you know. So, nevertheless, there weren't. That was, you know, this all happened before. This was why we'd go to L.A. to visit, and then come back to Fresno. Now we're going to make the big move because Harry Rogers, the agent, was going to give me better opportunities if I lived there. Doing what? I don't know. Play with this violinist, this woman, or... So that all happened before that. Well, how you're not going to... So now I go to do the Horace Heidt thing. I come to audition, you know, for Horace Heidt show. And so anyway, at the White Theater in Fresno is where the first broadcast was going to be, which is, the theater's now gone, you know. So there were two other contestants. There were four of us. But Halliard played Alec Templeton's Staccata or something like that. Toccati or who knows what the hell name. It's the fire or the fire dance, one of those type things. Very good player, great player. A lot of intensity. We were good friends. But Heidt at one point came to me and he said, I was going to do my bit, you know, imitating Art Bend, those guys. He says, you're not going to win this contest doing that. He says, what's that song? Now, this guy's not a musician. So again, this is where I think you want to call it fate or whatever, comes into play. He says, what's that song where you shake the accordion? Well, I knew Bumble Boogie Tico Tico as well as Lady of Spain, but only I was motivated, inspired, to shake the accordion, something that Cagnazzo taught me just to have fun, on the last chorus of Lady of Spain. He's one where you shake the accordions. Well, it had to be Lady of Spain. So he says, play that. Let me hear it. And this is during the day of the dress rehearsal. And I played it. He says, that's the song you got to compete with. So we didn't have time to really do an arrangement for the band. So the musical arranger just wrote an intro, rhythm for 3 choruses, all in the key of C, with the ending C F minor. backtrack a little bit. At one point during the week, see, my dad and my mom, my dad, he was very successful as a butcher. He really was. He they started out together mortgaging a house on Oleander for this butcher shop, then took over the grocery store, took over the ice house next door. He opened up Fresno's first indoor beer garden. He was dealing with bootlegging, all sorts. He's making money every which way. So he was doing all right, you know. The reason I mention that is because I noted that, you know, one time we went to, like I say, Haggard Patterson was a good friend of mine, lived on the west side, black, you know, black guy. He's very poor. And I never had this thing with having to, I don't know, you know, to compete, to win, the importance of winning. And well, I noticed that we dropped him off, you know, he invited me inside, and I bet the house was about as big as a closet. I mean, just small, you know, and old. And it was about the eve of the broadcast. I came home, my mom was cooking, never forget, over the stove there at 1845 Harrison. We had a beautiful home. Dad doing well and everything. I happened to say, boy, you know, I wish Haggard would win this contest. See, I only cared that the country would hear me play. I didn't think about competition. I didn't think the importance of winning that way. Never advocated competition. You know what I mean? Any sense of competition. It's almost like innately, you know, everybody has their place and so forth. So I made that comment, and right away the folks said, "What? What? Are you kidding?" I says, "No." I says, "They could use it. They could use the money, and I just care that the whole country will hear me play the accordion. That's all I can think about. You know, I don't think I need the money or I need this, that, or the whole country could hear me play the accordion." "Yeah, but you can't do that. You got to win. You know, you got to try to win." I said, whatever I said, I don't know, but it's like I felt this thing like they would be, you know, we didn't need the money. They could use the money and blah, blah, blah. And again, you know, the whole country hear me play the accordion. So we got down to the actual, just before the broadcast, and then a strange thing happened. Philip Morris was the sponsor, Philip Morris Cigarettes. And there were two other contestants besides the two of us, but all during the week, when Heidi and I would compete against each other, it seems like on one show, you know, every night we compete for a theater audiences there. It seemed like he'd get more applause, or maybe I'd get more applause, you know, more intense applause. So, but it seemed to be between the two of us. And Heidt, just before the broadcast, he got Haggard and I together and said, you know, I think this contest will be between the two of you, so, because, you know, by the way it went this week. So he says, whoever wins, I want you to say something like, you know, I'd like to thank Horace Heidt and Philip Morris for the opportunity of being on this show. And he says, Haggard, let me hear you say this. So Haggard said it. And then he walked away. So that's what kind of got my dander up, and I thought, doesn't he think I really have a chance to win? And that kind of gave me an added shot of adrenaline, you know. So there I was, you know, how you went on, great applause. I went on, and when I got to the bellow shake, everybody started applauding. So I, wow, kind of frightened me. Put my head back down, kept shaking. Then the thing was, to judge, they didn't judge the applause right after each performance. There was a waiting period. Then you come back for the reprise, whatever they call it. You know, you do about 8 bars or so. Then Heidt would cue the audience, tell them not to whistle, but to applaud and cheer if they wanted. And that's when they would watch this applause meter. They'd have special guests on stage watching the applause meter to see who got the greatest applause. Well, I won, you know. Everybody's all excited. Well, but there was no format. I thought, well, that's it. I won the contest. Okay, on with my life. The whole country heard me play. And got home that night, all excited, could hardly sleep. The whole country heard me play. Not so much that I won, but, you know. And got a call from Heidt the next day saying, we're going to go to Los Angeles. We want you to come with us in Pasadena to compete against the best talent there, 3 of the best talent. And I thought, oh no, you know, another contest? And so my folks, yeah, let's go. You know, everybody's ready to go. Let's go to L.A. We're going there anyway, you know. I let all my compadres know there, you know, by now it's just the first show, so I don't know how big the listening audience was. So I played Lady of Spain again. And I won. And Heidt, he says, well, by this time they're starting to put the format together. Okay, here's the way the format's going to go, they said, he and his staff, you know. We have the year broken up to where there'll be 4 quarters, and first quarterfinal, we'll have a quarterfinal at the end of each quarter, and you know, then the contest will consist of contestants who have either won or came in close second or whatever, and there would be 6 of them. See. So I didn't know whether I'd win or lose or what. I didn't have this obsession. I thought at any time that if I lost, I'd just go back to Fresno, you know, my womb, so to speak, you know. Anyway, so I had my mom and dad there, my family. I was too young to think about, geez, this could mean this. I didn't think about that. But he says, you can't keep playing Lady of Spain, so what else do you know? Well, how about Bumble Boogie? There was no bellow shake, but if I do the bellow shake, everybody's going, hey, I like when you shake the accordion, you know. So I won there. And then we went to like Pasadena against their best at the auditorium there. I won there, this time with Tico Tico, but I put in the bellow shake. Applaud during the bellow shake. I didn't think of it as like a hook at that time, but I thought, wow, better do the bellow shake. So now I won 4 contests. Yeah, 3. Like there were 3 contests in the LA area. One was at UCLA against 3 of their best student talent, you know. But I began to notice that people were, you know, talking about me. I felt like Jesse James, you know, like they didn't know what I looked like. I'd go into a restaurant or something, and they'd be talking about the accordion player on Horace Heidt show, Dick Contino. So now we're going to go to Omaha, Nebraska. Contest number 5. Man of Destiny. On the train, you know, and they put me in the care of Horace Heidt and his staff. Hazel Turney, the older woman who was, you know, they were kind of running things. She was like, so he brought Halyard along, you know, he said, even though he didn't win, Halyard come along as a guest performer and played during the week on the, you know, and I felt glad about that. We go to check into a hotel or something, they say, well, you can't stay here. And so nobody said, what? Hey, let's march. You know, they just, okay, well, can't stay. We can't eat in the same restaurant. Okay, go get a bite to eat. I'll see you after, you know, there's a way of life. So I got to Omaha. And everybody's saying, I go into a restaurant and say, nobody's going to beat this kid. I'm sitting next to him, you know. But unbeknownst to me, a guy named Johnny Vanna, you know, he came, this guy played marimba, tap dance at the same time, whipped his dick out on, you know, he just did all kinds of shit. And he had his high school there, alumni with banners and shit. I thought, oh, well, you know, I'll lose this one. But I don't care. I go back to Fresno. What do I care, you know? And so the song I was going to play was 12th Street Rag. You know, bellow shake and all, man. Key changes. But this time I'm inspired. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down in flames, you know. So because I'd won, you know, the previous 4 weeks, I went on last. Here comes Johnny Van, man, with a marimba dancing, smiling, tap dance at the same time, drumming around on the stage, threw the audience back up on stage, and bada bada bing, and the banners in the back of the auditorium packed at the Orpheum Theater in Omaha, and I get up and play my 12th Street Rag. So come time for voting, you know, with that short 8 bars, you know, I thought his applause was big, and mine was big. I didn't know where I stood. I just thought, if they announce him the winner, hey, I won 4 contests. Everybody's talking about me. The whole country heard me play. I'm going home. See you later. You know, I was happy, no matter what. While I'm standing there waiting, I look over, and Hazel Turney, she liked me a lot. She's an older woman, but she liked me a lot, you know. And she looked my way, and she moved her lips. You won. Well, I got a chill up and down my spine. I went, oh, my God. So sure enough, you know, the winner, the accordion player from Fresno, everybody screamed. Boom.
All right, there you go. Boom. Wins the contest. Well, that's going to do it for today. I'll be back next Thursday. I have about 8-9 episodes I'm going to put up, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, thanks for listening. Again, my name is Pete Contino. This is Accordion Brat. I'll see you next week.